Hello everybody, Mitzi Cruz here, host of Lincoln Live. Today I am so excited to be here live at Atlas Academy, and we are talking with Adam Salinger. And first of all, Adam, I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely, thanks for the opportunity.
And can you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
I have been in education for 25 years. I started out teaching elementary school in a neighboring district for about 20 years in 4th and 5th grade, and then was kind of looking at doing something a little bit different, and went back to get my admin and my master's degrees. And while I was there, I met the superintendent for this district, Scott Lehman, and he was very interested in some of the things I was working on. So he asked if I could kind of tweak what I was working on and do an independent study program for his district, and that's kind of what we did. We kind of built Atlas from the ground up, and the district loved what we did and started the program. Yeah.
So how long has Atlas been in effect?
Atlas, this is the 4th year that Atlas has been around. We were a program for the first 3 years, and then this last summer the district kind of upped their commitment and made us their 12th school within Western Placer.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so we're now a school separate from all the other schools, with our own identity, with our own graduation requirements, with our own graduation, with our own trips, kind of all of those things now.
Yeah, I did not realize that.
Yes, yes.
So what grades do you serve?
Well, officially we serve kindergarten through 12th, but resource-wise, we can really handle 3rd through 12th right now.
Okay.
This year, our students are in 8th grade through 12th grade, but we've had students all the way down to 3rd grade over the 4 years.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes.
So what would that look like in those lower grades?
It looks a lot like it looks in the upper grades in terms of most of the curriculum for the elementary school age children is online. They can come in and get help on a daily basis. This is where they come and take their tests. All their tests are proctored. And then the other activities that are associated with Atlas are open to those younger kids, the same as they're open to the older kids. We just try to group age levels together for some of those activities.
So you mentioned the exams being proctored. What does that mean?
Well, they have when they're on Odyssey Wear, which is our curriculum, especially for our 3rd through 8th graders. They move through a series of lessons and quizzes and projects until they're ready to take a test at the end of each unit, similar to what they'd be doing in a classroom with a teacher and a textbook.
Sure.
The difference is they're doing all of that independently on their own until they get down to that test at the end of the unit. That test has to be taken here with a teacher. And that's the same for the younger children as it is with the older students. The difference is the younger children all are completely under my auspices in terms of all of the work and the grading and curriculum. My older students, my high school students, I leverage the 4 Phoenix High teachers who connect to my school, and they are the high school teachers of record for my high schoolers.
Gotcha.
That's kind of how it works.
So Atlas is completely separate, its own entity, but there is some still overlap.
There is. As we establish ourselves and as we start to grow, we leverage other programs and other teachers as kind of a bridge until we can get to that next level where we can hire more teachers, have a bigger facility, kind of all of those things, yes.
So tell us, so right now, as far as at least at the high school level, the standards in Lincoln would include Lincoln High School,
yes,
Phoenix High School,
yes,
and then your program.
Exactly.
So why would a child attend Atlas as opposed to Phoenix or Lincoln High School?
Students are with me for every reason you can possibly imagine. Students come to me because they want to graduate early.
Sure.
All the power and control is in a student's hands when they get here. The difference is at Lincoln High, you go the same speed as a teacher, and you earn 5 credits in the end of a semester. I've got students who can earn 5 credits in a week. depending on how much time and effort they want to put into it. So some come to me because they want the power and control to go at their own speed or to graduate early. Some come to me because they are behind, and catching up in this format, if the fit is right for that student, is not easier but more possible than catching up sometimes in a traditional environment. So students come to me for those reasons. Students also come to me because they are interested in the outdoor ed part, the leadership part, and the service part, which are all key components to our program, and we can talk about those later, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But the other reason students come to me is because not every student fits in the traditional environment. And for 100 years, we've been putting all these kids into the same box, thinking they're all going to learn the same way. And as we get further and further and further away from that, I think we're discovering that that's not true, and that lots of kids need a different option. So Atlas is just kind of one of those options for Western Placer. It doesn't fit all students. It doesn't at all, but when it fits, it can be amazing for self-confidence. It can be amazing for completion. It can be amazing for all of those things. But a lot of students come to me because they don't fit in that traditional environment, because of emotional issues that they have, because of physical issues that they have. And Atlas is a place where it's a very safe place, because everyone that ends up here is here because the traditional system didn't fit them for some reason.
Sure.
So everyone that ends up here knows that everyone else that's here comes here with some baggage, and for that reason everybody kind of gets a new start here.
Yeah.
And some of the reasons that maybe a child left the traditional environment, those reasons really don't, those things don't really exist here, because kids have a different level of empathy for each other in this program. They really do.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, gosh, just hearing you talk about that and your passion that you have for this, and really tailoring to those kids, because I agree with you. I mean, I've seen it time and time again where, you know, we're asking kids to all kind of be in this this mainstream type mentality, and then when they're not, then they're kind of like ostracized. It's not really fair to them, because we're not all the same.
We're not, and in no way do we look at the traditional system as something that's not working.
No.
Because it does work the vast majority of the time for the vast majority of kids, but there's a bigger and bigger segment of children as we move forward over the years that just doesn't fit in a school of 2,000 plus or 1,200 plus for whatever reason. So I think it's very important, and the district does too, to have other options that fit. Phoenix is an option, and now Atlas is an option, and we hope to have many more options over the next 3 to 5 years in terms of things that fit kids of different ages that just aren't fitting in that traditional streamline of what all kids have always done. Yes.
So are you able to accommodate an IEP?
At this point, because of the size of our staff, we don't have supports for special ed students.
Sure.
With that said, we have many students that are on 504 plans, and we have many students that need additional supports, but the way our program is set up, those supports are inherently a part of our program, right?
Sure.
Because kids get a lot of one-on-one support here that they can't get in the traditional system. We have 10 or 15 Sun City tutors that are on campus every week that students can make appointments with, and then our high school teachers are available for an hour a day every single day to stop in, get help, take tests. So there's a lot of support in terms of getting help if students need it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it very personalized and very customized. And we never want to be so big that we're not able to do those things, but we definitely want to be big enough that we're able to serve the people who are lined up on the waiting list trying to get in right now.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and for those of you guys that are watching that might not be familiar with a 504 or an IEP, I'll just give you a little background, and then I'll actually let Adam explain. He's going to obviously do a better job being an educator. I'm just a parent who's dealt with both, but I know from my own children, kind of watching the escalation sometimes from a 504 to an IEP, because the right supports aren't necessarily there to prevent that escalation. That would be huge. That would have been just an awesome thing to see. So do you want to kind of explain the difference?
So a 504 is a plan that's put in place to support a general ed student, to give them more time for tests or more breaks or a quieter place to work, those kinds of things. And then an IEP is set up when a student has specific learning disabilities that get in the way of them being successful in the classroom. And we can take students with 504s, and anything that's included in a 504 are things that we're already doing,
right.
So that's perfect. But many IEPs are giving a student more support than we can actually give in this program at this point. Now, that's not saying that 3 to 5 years down the line, when we have lots of staff members, that won't be an option.
Yeah.
But right now it's not. Right now it's not.
Well, and I think having the structure that you have and having those supports in place at this level, like I said, I know for my kids it would have been huge at the younger grade levels,
yes.
to prevent the escalation to a full-blown IEP.
Yes,
so,
yes,
yeah.
and that is something we're really trying to do, is to get more younger children into the program. That's kind of my wheelhouse, is that elementary age, and
right.
and my experience and kind of my forte. And I was hired with the thinking that this program would have a lot more younger kids. But the problem with it is, it's kind of the way I explain it to other people, it's kind of a chicken and the egg kind of problem, is that I know the things that I would do if I had 5 or 10 young kids at once, sure. in terms of more of a blended environment. So if I had more younger kids in this program, there might be a day or two where they would come in for direct instruction, mm-hmm. and then the rest of their week would be independent study type of thing. And that is kind of the direction we'd like to move in a lot of grade levels, but especially those younger grades that still need a lot of those foundations and still need a lot of that teacher-directed experience, in my opinion.
Sure.
But parents have a tough time taking a chance on a program that's not already doing something, right, that we say we want to do. So it's a matter of getting enough of those kids so we can start demonstrating the success we can have with younger kids in this program, just like we've demonstrated with the older kids. We had 19 graduates last year, 15 the year before. Because we're our own school, we have our own graduation ceremony now.
Sure.
So in terms of the older students, we definitely have a proven track record in just the first 3 years of what's going on. We have students that are graduating and going straight to the military, to jobs, to junior colleges, and last year we had our first 2 that went to 4-year colleges, straight from Atlas.
Wow.
1 to Humboldt and 1 to Azusa Pacific. So we're on the right track with our older kids,
yeah.
and middle school kids. We're on the right track too, but we've got to be able to have more parents that are interested in taking the chance at the younger grade levels, so we can start doing some of those things too.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah.
So tell us about your programs. You had kind of touched on that a little bit ago. So why don't you talk about that?
We're built on 3 pillars: leadership, service, and adventure. So the leadership pillar is built around the 7 habits of highly effective people.
Okay.
And our students go through a week-long leadership lab at the beginning of the year.
Uh-huh.
They all learn about the habits. They learn how to integrate the habits into their life and into their school, and they all write a personal mission statement towards the end that is going to kind of follow them throughout their life, but definitely help guide them this year while they're in school this year. And then leadership itself is then ingrained into everything we do around here, especially the service and the outdoor ed piece. The service piece, we are connected with multiple service agencies in the area. The biggest is Roseville Urban Forestry Foundation, and they are the ones who plant and take care of all the urban forests you see in all of Placer County. So the little forests in a neighborhood, the little ones next to a park, the bigger ones that spread next to Maidu Center, kind of all of those. So we work with them many times a year, and students do some pre-work before going out and doing some work in the field, and then they actually get a lesson in the field too by rough employees also. So that's a big piece, because students take leadership pieces within those service days, but more importantly, they take leadership pieces within the outdoor ed piece. So the outdoor ed piece is kind of all encompassing. In the spring and in the fall, it's multi-day backpacking trips. So we have about $30,000 worth of backpacking gear, and we can take up to 10 or 15 kids with us at one time. So we have gone to Point Reyes, Desolation Wilderness, Yosemite, Immigrant Wilderness. We've gone on road trips and car camp to places like Zion National Park in Utah and Bryce Canyon in Utah. Within our trips, students take leadership roles depending on that day. They also, our high school students, when they go on those trips, have the ability to develop projects with their core high school teachers and earn credits. So some of our students that went on our Zion trip last year earned up to 10 different credits in 4 or 5 different subjects.
Yeah.
Gov credits, US history credits, econ credits, English credits, science credits for doing some water testing in the river, and PE credits, of course, for all the hiking they were doing.
Sure.
So students can develop projects within a trip to earn multiple credits. And our next trip is next week. We're going to Point Reyes with 6 kids who have never backpacked before, so we're super excited about that. And we do multiple labs before backpacking trips. So we've got a lab tomorrow and one Friday. The one tomorrow is we are talking about where we're going to be and looking at maps and looking at leave no trace principles, issuing gear, and then for the following lab on Friday, they're going to bring all their gear, and we're going to do a gear shakedown where we look at what they have and tell them usually that they've got about twice as much as they actually need, and we help them pare that down to an appropriate amount that they're going to carry on their back for 3 days. And then we leave on Tuesday, and we're out there for 2 nights and 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
will they be actually staying in tents then? Or?
They will. They're
Yeah.
they're in tents of 2. So on a lot of our trips, we take six students.
Yeah.
2 adults, 6 students. So they share tents, 2 per student, and that's one of the things we do in this room on our lab tomorrow is they practice setting up their tents.
Oh, cool.
So they've already done some pre-skills work where they've had to watch some videos and do some research and write some summaries about some different things like setting up a tent, using a jet boil to cook their food, using a water purifier, leave no trace principles, all those things, and then we come together after they've done some of that work and we talk about it and we practice it on the first lab, and then that second one is just kind of fine-tuning things and looking at that gear.
Oh,
So
wow.
on this trip on Wednesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week, we're backpacking from the visitor center at Point Reyes 6 miles to a campground called Wildcat Camp, and it's on a bluff above the ocean. We set up our tents there, and then we spend the afternoon and evening there, and then the next day we do a lot of different activities, but they're all down on the beach because the beach is right there, and it's a mile walk down to Alamir Falls, which is one of the only waterfalls in California that drops from the cliff and hits the sand in the ocean. So we do a lot of writing down there, we do a lot of activities, spend the day and the night, and then that 3rd day we hike back out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and every trip is a little bit different. The Point Reyes trip is really meant for beginning backpackers, as there are pit toilets at the campground, there's running water at the campground, and garbage cans at the campground when we get there.
Sure.
Some of our trips that we take kids on later after they've been on that trip, there are none of those things, and we're deep in the wilderness.
Goodness.
So we just kind of try to step up with them as they're comfortable and going.
Sure.
Yeah, and then in the winter we do snowshoe hikes, single-day snowshoe hikes. We've got about 15 sets of snowshoes. And then we also partnered with a corporation, nonprofit called Ski Duck. And with Ski Duck, we can get kids to Squaw Valley for the day, and they can have a lesson, gear, and a lift ticket to learn to snowboard or learn to ski.
That's great.
And we take kids up about 12 times during the winter.
Yeah, that can all be very pricey, and for a family that is struggling to keep food on the table,
Exactly.
that's the difference between those children having that experience and not having that experience.
Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that's really rewarding on lots of our trips, the
Yeah.
ski trips included. It's the student who's never touched snow before.
Right.
It's the student who's never been to the ocean before and put their foot in the water before.
Yeah.
It's all the students one afternoon who see a golden eagle land in a tree and dive in, grab a fish, and fly over our head, right?
That's cool.
It's staring at the stars at night and none of them ever seeing a satellite before because the sky's never been dark enough. So it's all of those experiences, and yes, it's earning the credits, but it's the experience and it's the relationships that they're making with each other. Most independent study programs, students not only see their teacher maybe once a month or every 3 weeks, where here they see their teacher at least once a week, but most of them don't have connections with other kids.
Right.
And that was something when we built Atlas we really, really wanted. We wanted it to be a safe place that was based on relationships, student to student and student to adult. And that's one of the biggest reasons we put the trips together, is because those trips are a time when students can get to know each other in a totally different way than if they're at school, right? They can also get to know their teachers that are on those trips in a completely different way than if they know them at school. So, and the teachers that go on every single trip are myself and Mr. Nelson, who's the social science teacher at Phoenix. We are both wilderness first responder certified, so we're basically EMTs in the backcountry. We have to get recertified every 2 years.
Yeah.
And he and I are the ones that go on all the outdoor ed trips for kids.
Perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun, and it's very meaningful. I have a student that made a presentation just a couple weeks ago in this room about the fact that he went on a Zion trip with us last year with a group of 9 other kids that he had never met. And he came to us from an environment that wasn't working for him.
Sure.
And not having a lot of good connections. And he is a student who, because of that Zion trip and the connections he made at that Zion trip, has become one of the most successful students in this program. Not only in terms of grades and credits, but also in terms of he's always the first student to welcome new students. And to help out new students and kind of try to figure this whole thing out. So yeah, like I said, when it works, it really, really works.
Yeah.
The flip side of that is that it doesn't work a lot of the time, because it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of motivation and being very proactive to make it in this program.
Yeah.
And I said earlier, all the power is in that student's hands to go as fast as they want, but the power is also in their hands to go home and sit on their couch and not do any work. So if they start falling behind, we work with them very closely in terms of giving them the supports that they need to be successful here, but ultimately, if they choose not to do the work that they need to do to stay in the program, then we need to refer them back to their home school as soon as possible so they don't get any further behind, or help them find another fit that might be better. Whether it's within the district, hopefully, but sometimes it's not.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I have a question, and I don't want to monopolize all your time, because I know that there's parents watching that are probably very excited to ask their questions as well. But my question for you would be, our kids are all different.
Yes.
And we sometimes as parents feel that our children are going to react to a certain scenario one way, and then they surprise us because they go the whole opposite way. So, for example, if a parent had a child that they believed could be successful in the program, should they bring the child in? Do you guys have like an interview process up front, and then kind of determine whether or not it's a good fit, and even after that process, kind of two-part question, do you ever have children that you feel, well, we'll give it a try, and then they just exceed your expectations?
Yes. I've gotten better and better in 3.5 years of trying to guess who's going to make it and who's not, but I'm still constantly surprised. the student that I give a chance to and I'm pretty sure that they're just not going to be successful here and knocks it off the charts, to the other side of the coin, to a chance for a student who it doesn't look on paper like there's any reason they wouldn't be successful here,
Right.
and they're not. I've gotten better, but there are still surprises on a daily basis. So the way it usually happens, and it has happened 5 times today, I've gotten 5 different emails and calls from 5 different families just today. But the way it usually happens is that I have a preliminary talk on the phone or over email to kind of parse out anything that would be a deal breaker, usually for that family. For instance, our students, now that we're our own school, graduate with our school. In
Right.
the past, they had the choice to graduate with us or with their home school at Lincoln. That's not a choice anymore since we're our own school. So sometimes that's a deal breaker because a student comes to me towards the end of their senior year and still wants to walk with their peers at Lincoln High,
Yeah.
but now that we're a school, it can't happen.
Sure.
So I try to talk about all those deal breakers first to make sure that they still are interested.
Yeah.
If they're still interested, then we set up an appointment for at least one parent and that child to come in and to ask and answer lots more questions. I look at that student's grades, I look at that student's history within the district.
Sure.
Nothing really precludes a student from signing up.
Okay.
It really doesn't, except at this point being in special ed.
Yeah.
That's really the only thing. There are times where I tell a family that based on what I'm seeing, I don't personally feel like it's the right fit.
Right.
Rarely do I tell a student that they can't have a shot. The trick about that is that for this year, the district has set a ceiling for us of 45 kids. We're at 45 kids.
Sure.
We started with 45 this year. We started full. No other year have we started full.
Wow.
So we've started full, and at the beginning of the year, we had a waiting list already, and our waiting list has fluctuated from being right around 20 to being kind of down near 13 right now. One of the reasons for that is that a lot of students that need something like Atlas can't wait months and months and months to get in something like Atlas.
Sure.
So I check back with the families on the waiting list, and we lose a good majority of those because they find something else, which I'm really glad they did.
Right.
But it's also tough because I know we could have captured them if we had the staff and the resources to capture them.
Sure.
So the process is usually talking over email or on the phone to make sure that we've covered everything, and then we make an appointment for them to come in. Most of my appointments with new families are at 7 o'clock, so their child can come in also before school.
Sure.
So we sit and we talk, and then if we both are feeling like it's going to be the right direction, or that it could be the right direction, we put them on the waiting list.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it.
And that's kind of how that process works.
Well, this is a very interactive show. Like I said, I
Yes.
really want to open
Yes.
the questions up to the audience as well.
So there was a question about the process, so you answered that.
Good.
And then there's, so this is a lot of information. Where can people go to find out, all the details, and
Yes.
who do they
yes.
contact?
The best place to find out all the details is my website at Atlas Learning Academy. And if you go to the district's website on one of the 12 schools, or you can just Google Atlas Learning Academy, I spend a lot of time on that website on a daily basis updating things. There's everything from, probably 30 or 40 testimonials of different age kids and parents that have had success here, to a blog that shows journal entries from every single trip we've ever taken, to course outlines that show what the requirements are in all courses for high school students. There's all kinds of things on that website that can help. It's a good starting place.
Awesome. And then can students join throughout the year, or is it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Students can join throughout the year, and I can refer them back throughout the year too. So it's a contract that can be terminated either by a student if they don't feel it's working out, or by us if it's not. If a student moves here from Lincoln High School, there is a partial credit calendar that we work off of. So if they're passing their classes on a certain date, they will earn the credits that come with that date. And it won't be wasted time in that seat as long as they're passing that class. So they might come to me passing an English class and already have 2 credits, which means they only need 8 more in that class to finish. Yeah.
Okay, I thought of two questions
Yeah.
myself. Number one, do you guys administer summer school? And number two, do you work with like Lincoln High School to reciprocate like sports programs and things like that?
Oh, good questions. So summer school is something that I hope and dream we have the staff to do at some point.
Sure.
Because summer school means teachers have to be available during the summer. And most of the state funding and federal funding for summer school is gone. So it really comes down to districts being able to afford summer school,
Right.
and the vast majority just can't at this point. And the ones that do, it is usually school to help get caught up, not school to just continue on, right?
Right.
But it makes a lot of sense for a program like this to exist all 12 months of the year
Sure.
and give that power and control to kids to do the work when and where they want.
Right.
So that's the hope, is that we can do something during the summer.
Yeah.
And then your other question was how we work with Lincoln High. We work very closely with Lincoln High in lots of ways. So one of the benefits as an Atlas student is that as an Atlas high schooler, you can be co-enrolled in classes at Lincoln High that we can't offer.
That's
So
cool.
no hands-on course that I can't offer can be enrolled in. So an art class, a welding class, a ceramics class, a photography class,
Yeah.
all of those kinds of classes. In addition, the one thing that we can't offer as a school so far is language, because we don't have a teacher that is bilingual.
Sure.
So my high schoolers take their classes over at Lincoln High, or in a second option, I'll tell you in a second. Our high schoolers also have the opportunity to join clubs at Lincoln High, be on sports teams as long as they meet the same grade requirements that they would have met at Lincoln High.
Sure.
And they can attend dances with a guest pass as well.
Oh, cool.
So they have the opportunity to do all of those things. They have the opportunity to do those things at the middle school and elementary school. It's a little trickier because if a kid wants to stay in a science class at an elementary school, or just their social studies class, it might be 5 days a week rather than 1 or 2 days a week.
Yeah.
But I had a student last year, and I had another this year, that were doing band at their middle school, in addition to being an Atlas.
Yeah.
So the other huge benefit for an Atlas high schooler is that if you're a high schooler, and for Sierra College, if you're finished with your 10th grade year and you have a certain GPA, you can take classes at Sierra College.
Yes.
So you can take an online class, or it can be an in-seat class. So my student might take American Sign Language at Sierra because they might want something different than Lincoln High offers. And if they take an American Sign Language class and they pass that class in a semester, they'll get 3 credits waiting for them when they go to college, but that class will be worth 10 high school credits.
I did that quite a bit in high school myself.
Exactly. So that double dipping
Yeah.
is something that lots of my students have taken advantage of. Last year I had a student finish a year early. She finished in her 11th grade year, and she also had 9 college credits already before she even went to college.
That's
So exactly. So again, that personalized, customized kind of environment is huge and offers opportunities that kids might not get in the traditional structure.
Right.
Right? But they've got to be disciplined and mature and motivated enough to be able to handle those things. Kids that come back to me and they're in college say, college feels so much easier because this was more of a college environment.
Right.
This is much more of a college environment in terms of that impetus is on students themselves to be responsible, to reach out for something when they need it.
That's
They
right.
know we're here, but they've got to be able to reach out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, gosh, I could talk to you all day. You have just such great information,
Thanks.
and it's important. You know, I believe in what you guys do, and I appreciate it so much because I know other parents do as well. So let's talk about the raffle.
Oh, the raffle. Yes. We've got a very cool Atlas Learning Academy T-shirt. So they're coveted. We made a bunch of them at one point, and we're not making them anymore because we use a website that students can kind of order their own Atlas gear on now. Yes, yes.
So you guys know how this works. All you've got to do is share this live video by tomorrow at noon, and just comment shared. So even after the video's over, you can still share it. Just comment shared on the thread below this video, and you'll be entered into a raffle. So we will go ahead and close that list tomorrow at noon, Wednesday, and then we'll go ahead and select one of the names of the folks that shared for this really cool custom Atlas t-shirt that you heard it. It's exclusive. There are no more being made at this level. So definitely want to do that. So, you know, it's been such a great interview and great getting to know more about your program. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you think is important for folks to know?
I don't think so, other than we're excited to be another option for Western Placer, and we hope over the next 3 to 5 years to continue to grow in response to the demand that we're seeing. And that's been what's incredible, is it's still mostly word of mouth. I post every single day on social media in terms of kind of trying to advertise what we do, but the vast majority of students who end up on our doorstep looking to get in know somebody that's been here.
Sure.
So we love what we're doing, and we just want to keep doing it for more and more kids that need it. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your time, Adam. It's been awesome.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank you guys for watching too, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a good day.
Thanks.